swear to God, that truck wasn't there a second ago. That was the first thought that crawled into my mind as I spotted the rusted 18-wheeler sitting on the side of the road. The highway had been empty for miles, completely deserted. No headlights in my mirrors, no taillights ahead. Just me, my rig, and the endless stretch of asphalt cutting through the Montana wilderness. Yet, there it was. Its hazard lights flickered weakly, casting erratic bursts of orange into the dark, like a dying heartbeat. The cab sat in complete darkness, its windows tinted and opaque, revealing nothing inside. The trailer doors were wide open, gaping like the jaws of a beast frozen mid-snarl, a hollow black void waiting to consume anything foolish enough to step inside. Every instinct in my body told me to keep driving. Just press the gas and put as much distance as possible between myself and that thing. Because something about it felt wrong. Truckers see all kinds of strange things on these long, lonely highways. Ghost towns, abandoned vehicles, weird lights in the sky. But this was different. This wasn't just an eerie sight. It felt unnatural, like the world around it was bending just slightly, warping in a way that my brain struggled to process. And yet, despite my better judgment, my foot eased off the gas. The moment I slowed down, my CB radio crackled to life. "Help me." The voice was faint, barely above a whisper, but it sent a cold shiver straight down my spine. I froze, gripping the steering wheel with both hands. My mouth went dry. The static buzzed through the speakers for a few seconds, then cut out, leaving behind only the sound of my own breathing. The road had been silent just moments ago. No transmissions, no background chatter from other drivers. I had heard nothing for hours. I reached for the radio, my fingers trembling slightly as I pressed the button. "Who's out there?" I asked, my voice barely above a murmur. Silence. Then, from inside the open trailer, I heard something shift. Not the wind, not the groan of metal settling in the cold night air. Something else, something alive. I hesitated, gripping the wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My truck sat idling on the shoulder, my headlights casting long, warped shadows over the abandoned 18-wheeler. The lettering on the side was barely visible, corroded by time and rust. The paint had long since peeled away, revealing deep scars in the metal, like something had clawed at it from the inside. Everything in me screamed to leave. I had heard enough stories from old-timers, had my own share of close calls with things that didn't make sense on these roads. Strange figures on the roadside at 2 a.m. Headlights that followed you for miles before vanishing into nothing. Truck stops that were there one night and gone the next. And yet, despite the warning screaming in my head, my hand moved toward the door handle. What if someone needed help? I grabbed my flashlight from the glove compartment and stepped out of the cab, the night air wrapping around me like a cold, damp blanket. The moment my boots hit the pavement, the smell hit me. It was faint at first, just a slight metallic tang in the air, but as I approached the truck, it grew stronger. Diesel and burnt rubber, mixed with something sickly sweet, something that made my stomach churn. Rot. Death. I forced myself forward, one slow step at a time, the crunch of gravel beneath my feet, the only sound in the silence. My flashlight beam swept over the inside of the trailer, cutting through the darkness. At first, it looked empty, just an abandoned cargo hold. Then my light caught the walls. My breath hitched. Deep gouges ran along the metal, crisscrossing desperate, erratic patterns. Not scratches from shifting cargo, not damage from an accident. Claw marks, long, deep, human-sized. And then I saw it, a handprint smeared down the inside of the trailer door. Dark, glistening, fresh, blood. The stench of decay thickened. My stomach clenched. My flashlight wavered in my grip. I took a step back, suddenly hyper-aware of how alone I was. The CB radio in my truck crackled. "Don't turn your back." I spun around so fast my vision blurred. My flashlight beam slashed across the road, the surrounding trees, the vast emptiness beyond. Nothing, no movement, just me, my truck, and the silent watching corpse of that 18-wheeler. Then, from inside the trailer, something moved, a whisper of fabric, a scrape of nails against metal. I pointed my flashlight into the darkness, and the world tilted. I don't remember falling. 1 second, I was standing outside. The next, I was inside the trailer, sprawled on the cold metal floor. My flashlight skittered across the ground, rolling to a stop several feet away, its beam flickering wildly. I sucked in a sharp breath, the air thick and stale, suffocating, like the walls were pressing in. My heart pounded as I scrambled to my hands and knees, my palms slick with sweat. Something wasn't right. My ears strained in the silence. Then, a breath, not mine, close, slow, ragged breathing, just inches away. I froze. My fingers crept toward my flashlight, my body trembling as I wrapped my hand around it. I swung the beam toward the sound, and I saw it. A shape crouched in the farthest corner of the trailer. Its body was wrong. The limbs were too long, the joints bent at unnatural angles. The skin was stretched too tight, like it had been pulled over something larger beneath. And its mouth. God, the mouth. A grin stretched impossibly wide, rows of needle-sharp teeth gleaming wetly in the dim light. The thing laughed. The sound was garbled, uneven, like it was mimicking laughter but didn't quite understand how. It moved, fast, the trap. I bolted for the exit, but before I could reach the open trailer doors, they slammed shut. Total darkness swallowed me whole. The air turned ice cold. The smell of rot thickened, wrapping around me like a living thing. The CB radio crackled. "You shouldn't have stopped." The voice wasn't human anymore. Then the pounding began. First from the walls, then from the floor. Something was inside the trailer with me. I turned my flashlight toward the wall. My stomach dropped, because there, carved into the metal, were deep, uneven letters, spelling out a single message. "It's behind you." I turned. The last thing I saw was that grin, stretching impossibly wide. And then, nothing. I woke up in my truck. The engine was running. My hands were on the wheel. But the 18-wheeler? Gone. I looked at the clock. 4 hours had passed. I didn't remember a single second of it. I swallowed hard and glanced at my rearview mirror, and my blood turned to ice. Because parked right behind me, silent, waiting, was the rusted 18-wheeler. And its trailer doors were open.